Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, retired Green Beret and frequent guest of the program. Colonel, it's great to see you as always. So French President Macron talked with Putin today. He thinks this is going to get much worse. What does this signal to you if the Ukrainians now want to shift to guerrilla warfare? Is this sort of a last resort?
Oh, it's not really a last resort, Joe. It's good to see you again, by the way. But, if you look at the way the Ukrainians are fighting now, and if you listen to what Yarna just said, like what they have is complete resolve. They have complete commitment to this effort, and they're going to fight conventionally as long as they can. They're going to use aircraft to do spoiling attacks like they did over the last 24 hours. They're going to do preemptive attacks with javelins, and they're going to hit the convoys. But at some point, the mass of the Russian firepower is probably going to have its effect. But then what's going to happen is they're going to pivot into total resistance, as you heard a presidential aide for Zelenskyy calling for. And that is that unconventional warfare, guerrilla warfare you're talking about. And this is where they're going to bleed Putin dry.
What do you make of this convoy, Colonel? Because if this thing is able to regroup, I would imagine that is close to checkmate for Kyiv, is it not?
It could be close to checkmate for a conventional win, but think about it, Joe. Look at Russia's history with these kinds of activities. I think they've overplayed their hand again. I think what you're going to see is the level of will and resistance with the Ukrainian people is going to be such that there's no way these extended. I mean, look, they're running out of food now. Their morale is in the toilet now. When they start to face, a 6-month, 8-month campaign of committed guerrillas who are like blowing up their supply lines and hitting them from the 6 o'clock and the 8 o'clock. They're not going to know what to do with that. And it's going to be the death of 1,000 cuts. So even if they take the cities, they won't be able to hold them because the guerrilla warfare is eventually going to have its way.
Are you surprised they aren't taking a more offensive position and they're more defensive? Is that just sort of what they have to do because they're sort of outmanned and outgunned right now?
I think from what I can tell, they're doing a great job of spoiling attacks. They're doing a great job of, anything that they can do asymmetrically to hit the rear positions and the convoys. I think they're doing all the right things. I mean, but you're just talking about a massive military that is just continuing to throw mass at it and pile on, and eventually, something gives way. But again, I would be very careful to write off the Ukrainians as a result of that conventional loss because they're going to pivot immediately into guerrilla warfare. And I suspect there's been quite a few NATO special operations forces that have been working with the Ukrainians over the last several years to do exactly this kind of thing. And I think you'll see it very shortly.
Yeah. And in fact, some of our guests, Colonel, you included, have alluded to the fact that they're probably on the ground right now. They're just not talking about it. How do the Ukrainians protect the president, Zelenskyy? How do they keep him safe?
You got to, obviously got to keep moving. The guy is a leader. I think it's less about, I'm probably less qualified to talk about keeping him safe and perhaps to address more about what he's doing just as a leader. He's leading his people. He's leading from the front. He's talking about the things that really matter in the fight. And that's huge. His people see him and they take heart and they take courage from that. He's not as much worried about staying alive as he is about leading from the front. And that is a big part of this whole thing is leadership. It's a level of leadership that, imagine if Ghani had done that in Afghanistan, probably would have been a different outcome.
Exactly. Yeah. It's always great to have your military mind and insight, Colonel. Army Green Beret and Afghanistan war veteran, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann. Great to see you again. Take care. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.